Good morning. Hope everybody's doing good. I'd like to welcome you all to my craft room and my first Fun Fold Friday. Okay, I've shown you during the week. This is the card we're going to create. I am using the Playing in the Rain stamp set. And I think I have everything together. And when you open this card up, it has two little pop outs. I'm just going to move that up so it's not so blurry. Hi, Dawn. Okay. We'll probably change things up a little bit, like the cover. I'll show you how I did that one. And I think I'm going to use a sponge instead. I will have a PDF for this, but so we can get started, I'll just quick give you a rundown of all our pieces. We have an 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4, and I'm using basic white. Okay. And just so you know, this card I used regular cardstock, and I didn't like how the back was flimsy. So I'm using thick cardstock on today's card to see if it makes a difference. Hopefully I won't lose my internet. There is a storm outside, so just so you know. Then I have another piece of basic white, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. I'm just looking to see. Okay. Then we have a piece that is 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, and you can score it from at 3 inches from either side. Okay, so you just want one 3-inch score line. Then we have a piece of basic white that is 5 3/8 by 2 3/8. This one we'll be working on a little bit more, but it's scored at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 3 3/4, and 5. Then we have, just getting it out here, 2 pieces of the basic white, which are 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. Then we have one piece that is 4 7/8 by 2 5/8, and then 4 7/8 by 1 7/8. Okay, so those are all the basic white pieces. I do also have an oval. Okay, and that's for the front of our card. Then we need some designer series paper. And I have a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4, 5 by 3 3/4, 2 pieces. Oh, where are they? They're in here. Oh no! Where are my little pieces? Okay, I'm gonna have to quick cut 2 little pieces. Hold on 1 second. They must have gotten up and walked away. Hopefully I still have. If you could see, I have a basket with all my pieces in it. And for some reason, it walked away. I'm going to have to pick a different paper. I'm not sure what happened to those little pieces. So let's just get this 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. I'll find them after the fact. All right, so we have 2 at 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. We have one 5 3/8 by 2 7/8, and then 5 3/8 by 2 3/8. Here's my piece. I just didn't cut it. So I'm just going to put that aside. We may use that, but I may use these. All right. So to get started on this card, we're going to grab the piece, and I'm going to get a piece of cardstock so you can actually see the piece. That's a little bit easier to see than the white on white. So this is the 5 3/8 by 2 3/8 piece. And you're going to position it where the small little section is to your left. All right, we need a pencil and we need a ruler. And what you're going to do is we're going to make a line from the second score line. So here's score line 1, score line 2. Over the bottom right of the third score section. So I just want to make sure I get this right. If you can see, I did mess it up on my last piece. So what we're going to do is line up our ruler here, the first score line, and the third score line. Okay, so we're going to draw top left of the second, bottom right of the third. And we're just going to draw a very light pencil mark. And then we're going to do the same thing from the bottom to the top. So section 2 and 3 is going to have an X through it. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to pull in our scoreboard, and we are going to score these lines. And you could do it without drawing the lines, but you'll get a better idea of where to put your paper if you have some lines to line up in that opening. So I'm just going to score right over those lines. And before I fold, I'm just going to erase these lines now. Okay. So now we have it all scored. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold on these cross marks that we just did. And the score line that's in the center, we're going to fold it so we create a point. Just like that. And I'm just going to make sure that that's nice and flat. And then we can fold our score lines. So this is our mechanism for our pop out. Okay. I'm going to leave this piece here so you can see a little easier. So now we are going to grab the card base. Oops, wrong one. And like I said, this is thick basic white. And we're going to open it up. And we're going to grab our 5 1/4 by 4 designer series paper. And I'm just going to make sure that this is the right one. And we are going to adhere that to the inside of our card base. All right. Let's just add some glue. And we're going to add this right inside. And I'm just going to eyeball it to line it up. All right. So there is the inside of our card. Now what we want to do is we are going to mark, where's our little mechanism? We want to mark our mechanism, and I want to make sure this piece gets done properly because I did it wrong the first time. So we are going to, this piece here is going to get folded under like that. This piece here is also going to get folded under, and it's going to be adhered to the front piece of our card. Okay, so what we want to do is mark the underside, and this is 2 3/8. So 1, 2, 3. So right about here, 1 3/16 should be about the middle. And then we have our card, which is 5 1/2. So we want 2 1/2, 2 3/4 should be the center of the card. All right. So we mark the center of our card and the center of our piece. So we can line this up right in that fold, right on those little marks. All right. And I just want to make sure that I get this right. So we are going to add some adhesive to this one flap. Here's our mark. And we want to put this on right at that fold. So we want to make sure it'll fold closed. Oops, it just shifted. You don't want it to shift. You want it right there in the center of your card. Okay. So it's to the left of our fold. Oops. We're going to make sure that this is to a point. I just want to make sure we get this on here correctly. I just lost my page. Okay. Just bear with me because I want to make sure we get it properly in here. Now we want this piece to be, this little piece here is going to get adhered to the back of the card. So when the card closes, I just want to, I'll hold this down like this so you can see. So this is our mechanism. So when this closes, that piece is going to fold. So let's get some glue on here. And we are going to flatten this out and adhere our mechanism right to the center of our card. All right, and we're going to just very gently close that up. And want to make sure it is nice and flat. Okay, so there is our mechanism right there. We're going to let that dry for a little bit, and we are going to pull out our small little 2 3/8 by 2 3/8 pieces. And I'm going to stick with this designer series paper just because it looks just a little bit of a change. And we are going to adhere these together. I want to make sure it's on here straight. And then we're going to do the same thing to this one. So it's the 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 designer series paper. And it's the 2 3/8 by 2 3/8 basic white. I got a piece of glue stuck right here. All right. So now I think these are probably pretty dry. Let me just get my eraser so I can get some of this glue. Oops. Everything came crashing down. There's just a little bit of glue here. I don't want it to get hung up. So now these little pieces this is what we want to come flipping out of our card. So we are going to add our glue to this bottom triangle here, this one right here. I'm just gonna, okay, so we're gonna add glue to this triangle, and then we're gonna take our square and we want to line it up right underneath that score line, just like that. I want to make sure it's on here straight. And then for this side, here's the other triangle right here. We're going to add our glue to this triangle, and we want to try not to get it too much glue, so you don't want it squirting out, because you want this mechanism to be free. You want to just make sure it's on here straight. Where's that eraser? I have another piece of glue right here. There we go. All right. So now we can let that dry for a couple minutes before we, hey Judy. Yeah, this card is pretty cool. So we're going to let that dry just for a few minutes, and we can now go on to our 5.5 by 5.5 piece that we scored at 3 inches. I'm just going to move that over while it dries. Okay, and it doesn't matter what side you score the 3 inches on. And we're going to grab our 2 pieces. I think it's these 2. Yep. And we're just going to adhere them to the inside of the 5.5 by 5.5 piece. So we're just going to put this right in here. And then we have our other piece that's going to go on the other side. So before any decorating is done, we are just creating the card itself. And then you can use any stamp set you like. All right, so there is the inside piece. Now we also have these basic white pieces. They're going to go right inside. And I believe when it goes in the card, I believe it's going to go this way. Yep. All right. So before I even glue this in, I'm going to grab these flowers and hopefully I get them on here straight. Let's get these stems. All right. And I think I did it in Lost Lagoon. I'm just going to ink it up. And I think it goes this way. Let me just make sure. Yep. All right. So we're going to just add some flowers to the bottom of this. Only because I want to adhere this in. And I don't want to do it when it's in the card. So I'm just going to grab some light Lost Lagoon and color in these leaves. And then I'm going to grab some light polished pink and hit those petals. And I'm not being fussy because if there's a little bit of white showing, it can be a highlight. That's what I was working on this morning, my coloring class for Patreon. And I don't know if I can show you what we colored. Let's see if this is the one. Yep. So we've been working on the Let's Go Shopping, and we colored the building and added some brick to it. So that was fun. All right, so now I'm just going to grab some, what is this one? Dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to fill in the inside of the flowers. And we're going to glue this to the inside. Let me just get my seal. And I'm going to use seal so we don't see the adhesive. All right, so we're going to layer this in on this side. I'm going to leave this side. This could be where our sentiment goes or our written note. And I just want to, all right, so there is that piece there. All right. What is next? We are going to adhere this now. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so now this should be dry. Let's just put that aside for a second. And you'll notice now, as the card is closing, these two pieces are folding up and inside your card. So now you won't see them. Okay? And we are going to adhere this to this section. I think it is, yep, this 2.5-inch section right here. Okay, so we're going to add glue to this whole piece of the mechanism. right here. And again, you don't really want to put too much so it oozes, but we're going to add all our glue. And then we're going to take our 2.5-inch section and we are going to line it up top and bottom of the card and right at that score line. So we just want to make sure that oops, got to make sure it's dry. Nope, that's not right. We don't want to do that. We want this here, I believe. Yep, we want to line this up on this side. Now we want to close our card. All right. So you want to line it up so it is lined up on this side of your card. And I just want to make sure it is. So line your 3.5-inch section to the front of your card. And then while it is closed, add your glue and then add that piece. So I'm just going to add some glue here. Okay. And it should fit on here now perfectly. So you want to line this piece up. And then this will be closed. Add your glue to that mechanism. And then close your card. And as you see, I must have some glue somewhere. There we go. So you want to leave glue off of, and I put glue on. This piece, that triangle at the top, and the triangle here, you don't want anything on that. No glue, because that's where your mechanism is. Okay? And we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes. So that is the base to your card now. So you can start decorating. Now I use the raindrops embossing folder, and you'll notice that one end you can feel the raindrops, on the other side you can't. That's the front of the embossing folder. When I did this card here, I took my stamp pad and ran it over top of this. And that's why I have lines and it's dark. This time, I think what I'll do is, and the piece that's going to be embossed is the 5 1/4 by 4. I believe that's what it was. Let me just make sure. Yep, 5 1/4 by 4. This time, I'm just going to take a sponge and I'm going to ink it up really well. And I'm going to run some lines down my embossing folder. I just want to clean these edges up here. And then this way it won't be so dark. I am going to take my piece, line it up on that line, close it up, and give me 1 second. I'm going to emboss this really quickly. Hopefully I have the right sandwich here. Nope, wrong one. All right. Now, if you do use ink on your embossing folders, make sure you clean them right away so it doesn't stain. Now this one came out a little different. It's not as green with the Lost Lagoon, but that's okay. I wanted to show you that you can do it two different ways. Okay, so like I said, this I used the whole thing and ran it down the embossing folder, and this one, as you just saw, I used just the sponge. Now I'm going to grab my oval here. See if I have some glue dots around, dimensionals. We're going to pop this up onto this piece. Just like this. Our card is ready. Let's add some glue. And this is just going to go right onto the front of this card. Okay. Now, here's my oval. I am going to grab a blending brush. Let's use this one. And I'm going to grab some Balmy Blue. And I believe I actually use blends for this background. I'm just going to blend some color onto this background with a blending brush. I don't want too much. I can go back with the blends to put this background on, but we just want to add some blue to that. Now I'm going to grab some Memento and our little fox with his umbrella. Let me grab this bigger block here. Make sure he's on here straight. So I get him on this oval. And we're going to stamp him right about there. Now while I have everything out, I'm just going to add these images and grab some basic white. The rain's really coming down out there. And I'm going to just stamp these images quickly. So there's our turtle. And I better move him over a little bit more. All right, so when we pull this card out, I did use the layering squares to cut out our little animals. So let me just pull that out for a second so I can show you. I have them here somewhere. I forgot to pull them out. beautiful shapes. These are rectangles. All right. Where the heck did you go? Here they are, right in front of my face. All right. I did it again. So I believe this is the right one. Yep. It is the scalloped layering square that's 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to have to do him again. And it's almost like a photo. So you decide where you want your frame to be. Okay. Now this one, I guess I can do him just like that. And then that is where you would have to color. So you would color your images up, color these up, run this through. Let me just show you real quick. Don't want that one. How crazy. All right. I just took my layer. Oh, here it is. Jiminy Christmas. All right. So we want to frame out our little guy. Decide how you want your photo. I think I want him just like that. So here's our turtle. And then we have the bunny. And there's our bunny. So this piece would go on the top. And then we can open this up. And these little pieces will go right inside. Okay. You can color these up really fancy, or you can just do them quick. This is Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to color him quickly. All right. Let's take the dark. Let's see what colors I used on him. I'm going to come under his mouth. His little arm. His fingers. Let's get these up here. And then I'm going to grab some light old olive. I'm just going to come around his face. Go back to my light Granny Apple Green. And then color him in. For his shell, I'm going to do the inside of the shell in the light old olive. I'm going to grab the dark old olive and I'm going to go around these spots. Just like that. I'm going to go back to that granny apple green and fill in those spots. And then I am going to grab, I think I grabbed ivory. No. We're going to grab some light crumb cake. Let me just see. Yep. And we're going to put a coating of light crumb cake over the entire shell. And then we can do his belly. So this is the light granny apple green again. And I'm going to use the brush. Oh, running out of ink. Okay. Now, with the dark granny apple green, actually I'm going to use my light old olive. We'll have a shadow down here under his hand, under these lines, and right there. Then I'm going to take the dark granny apple green and I'm going to go right over that again. And then the light granny apple green. We're just going to extend that color. All right. We're going to give these flowers the same color that we gave them before. So here's our little turtle. We can add some glue. Hold your card so this is centered. And again, you don't have to necessarily use this stamp set. All right, so here is where your photos would go. Here and here. And then it, oops. Oh, there it goes. It had a piece of glue stuck. And this piece would go right on the front. And then you can decorate it further. Okay. So there you go. I'll have a PDF for this in the group probably by this afternoon. I have 2 that I need to get together. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope to see some of you make this card. Have a great rest of the day, ladies. Bye-bye.